Welcome to my video about Rookwood Cemetery in Sydney, Australia. This is the largest Victorian Era cemetery in the world and the largest cemetery in the Southern Hemisphere. It's 286 hectares, which is around 700 acres or a little over a square mile. So it's enormous. You can see some of the buildings here, really quite nice little church of St. Michael the Archangel. And down on in the centre of the screen now, just to the right of that tree, the main tree there, is the grave of Tui, who was a producer of beer, famous beer in Australia. So his grave's here. There are many famous people. There's John Fairfax, a newspaper man, David Jones, retail giant of the 1900s. Many famous people. As you'd probably expect from a cemetery so old, that's Tui's grave from the ground, or the family crypt. Unfortunately, on the day the little church, the sun was shining really in the wrong direction to get aerial footage at the front, so I took a still shot. It was just too much glare. But you can see in the centre of the shot here, there's what look like little rectangular boxes. They're actually, that's the remnants of the mortuary station that used to be here. It was dismantled and relocated and turned into a church, of all things, in Canberra. Several years ago. So as we proceed on, you see a multitude of graves as far as the eye can see now, the top of the picture there, to where those white buildings are. That's the limit in this direction of the cemetery. In the centre of the screen now is the Paul Mausoleum. There are so many incredible monuments in this cemetery. People had a lot of money back when. We'll see that more in detail later in the video. In the centre now, centre of the screen, is the Fraser Monument, which is really quite an enormous building in its own right. And we'll have a look at that from ground level in just a moment. We're heading back in the direction where we came. You can see the church, the little church of St. Michael there on the right, about centre right of the screen. Just to give you an idea of where this cemetery is, it's right in Lidcombe, suburbia. The railway line going to Sydney is about the centre of the screen, running from left to right, and Lidcombe station is to the left. It's only about half a kilometre from here, so it's very close by. This cemetery is right in the middle of the city. That's really all you can say. Parramatta is, you can't quite see it, but it's upper left of the picture of the screen, just off camera. But this is just to give you an idea of the expanse of this cemetery. This is the Catholic lawn section, actually. You'll see a big difference in the different denominations in this cemetery, as you'll see soon. We're heading back now in the original direction that we went to the little church there, which you can see. It's pretty much the central landmark for this video. But we'll move more over to the east, or the left of the picture, and you'll see the Anglican Cemetery soon. You'll be able to see the stark difference between this Catholic section and the Anglican. They're both quite old. I mean, I have an ancestor buried in this part of the cemetery, going back nearly 120 years, and over in the Anglican section, I have an ancestor from around 150 years ago. But the difference is quite striking, as you'll see. We're going to be approaching the Anglican section now. It's just beyond this tall tree on the other side of the road there. So you can see it's quite unkempt actually. I have some relatives down there, 3 in fact I can remember, and it was quite an ordeal locating their graves, to be quite honest. It's just the gravestones are all pretty close together, and it's just can't be mown easily, I guess, and a lot of the headstones have fallen down. All the relatives, they're just not visited anymore. When I visited my great-great-grandparents, their headstone had fallen down, and I just propped it up about 10 years ago, and it's not held with anything. And I went and found it a few months ago. Hadn't been there for 10 years, and the headstone's still there. It's not fixed or anything. It's just nobody's been there, and it has remained. But this is just the story of old graves. They get forgotten eventually, nobody visits, and they eventually crumble and get demolished. I don't know what they do with the relatives or the loved ones inside, but there's nobody left alive to contact, so I don't know what's done with them. This is just typical of cemeteries, I'm afraid, but it is a bit of a landmark and a monument for our history, the people who have been buried here. Here we are, the famous, or maybe I should say infamous, Fraser Vault. Apparently it was built around 1884 by a very wealthy Sydney business millionaire, and it was built for himself and his wife and some of their family, I believe. 7 people were buried here. No more, they're all gone. Something happened around 1973. John Fraser's granddaughter, I think it was, or great-granddaughter, she suddenly appeared and contacted the establishment of the cemetery here at Rookwood and demanded that the bodies all be removed and cremated, and she didn't care how much it cost to do it. So there was a bit of a mystery as to why that was. And then a story came out later that she talked to some of the other family members, and there was a rumour that John Fraser had a pact with some devil worshippers, and she was terrified that maybe they would be resurrected by the devil and cause all sorts of grief. So that's the story. I mean, I can't think of why else they'd be mysteriously removed after, I think John Fraser died in 1894, so it's 80 years, isn't it? Why they would have all been removed, the 7 occupants, his wife and various other people, and cremated. I don't know where the ashes were put, but I've had a peek through the keyhole actually. There's a keyhole in the door. You can't see very much, but it looks like there's a coffin inside just sitting there. Must be empty, I would think. I mean, what else would you do with a used coffin? Anyway, that's the story as it goes. Fraser Mausoleum. I thought we'd have a bit of fun with this part of the video. I noticed a lot of the windows of the Fraser vault had been broken. The first time I found this, I saw this building was about 12 years ago, I guess. I first started coming to this cemetery, and they've been broken ever since I've known. So the building's, I guess, 130 years old. There's been vandalism here. But I just thought I'd use my Mini 2 to go up and have a look in through the windows, see if we could see anything. So we'll go and have a look. I want to go and have a look at the Paul vault, family vault now. It's really quite close by. So that'll be the next section of this video. We'll just walk across over to there. What on earth is this? Now, I mean, I don't want to start any rumours or anything, but that to me looks like a goat's skull. Why would you find a goat's skull in a cemetery? The mind boggles. Anyway, I want to have a closer look at this mausoleum over here. The Paul family vault, Mr. Paul, sorry, he died around 1925. I'm not sure of his name, but he was fairly elderly, 85 I think he was, and he built this vault for himself and his family. And at first when I saw it, there were no names on the door, only the name on the above the door, the surname Paul. And it wasn't until we went around the sides we can see there are plaques with the names of the people who are buried inside here. This next section I thought we'd have a look at. It was next to the Paul family vault, and it was all surrounded in trees and looked all quite mysterious, so I thought we'd have a look. There aren't, I didn't really pay much attention to the names of the interred, but it's a bit of a rundown part of the cemetery. Again, I think it's just not visited by relatives, not looked after. It's pretty creepy. I mean, the long shadows don't help either, but it's the middle of winter here. It's only lunchtime, would you believe? But the long shadows sort of make it feel like it's a lot later. I certainly wouldn't want to be hanging around here in the night, but it's just an interesting place to have a look. Quite different from the other parts of the cemetery that we've seen so far. I don't think many people visit here anymore. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been a little more informative than some of the other videos I've seen about Rookwood. It's such a wealth of information here and history. I'll probably make another video of some other parts. There are still lots of places in this cemetery that I haven't visited yet. You could spend half a lifetime, I think, looking through here if you really wanted to. But anyway, give me a thumbs up or make some comments, and thanks very much for watching.